Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hey guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your number one source for all things films and movies. My name is Elijah, and over the course of the past couple of years, we've really been paying attention to various cast members in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and following a lot of these actors who have been there from the beginning, who are planning or who had planned their departure from the franchise as a whole, and what this actually means moving forward. Now, we've already talked about Robert Downey Jr., and the fact that he has left from the role of Tony Stark. However, we've talked about how he is willing to come back in one way or another, possibly down the road. We've seen a lot of rumors circulating around that they do eventually want to bring him back in some regard, whether it's a cameo appearance or some sort of voiceover role for some AI, or even coming back for the animated What If series on Disney+. There's definitely a lot of possibilities with Robert Downey Jr., and for the most part, he actually seems somewhat responsive about taking on the character once again in some sort of limited role. Now, we're probably not seeing an Iron Man 4, but it is interesting to say nonetheless that we see him so open to possibly return, where recently we got an interview from Chris Evans on the Graham Norton show, where he was asked a very similar question to the things we've seen RDJ asked in the past, and it's interesting to see the contrast in Chris Evans' response. During the interview, he says that he believes that it is time to leave the character behind and feels like the character ended on a great note. He actually goes on in the interview to say that they had a great run and they went out on such a high note, it would be risky to revisit the character, in his opinion. Now, this is of course a very obvious explanation that he gives, and a fair one to say nonetheless. However, it is interesting how there is this difference as to whether or not that he would ever return as this character compared to what we've seen RDJ respond in interviews in the past. It seems like RDJ is more willing to be involved in the universe as a whole, where maybe Chris Evans wants to distance himself a little bit moving forward in his acting career. Now, of course, he also goes on in the interview to say it would never be a complete no. He wouldn't leave the door completely closed to reprising the role in one way or another. However, it would need to be a situation where there's a good reason for this character to make a return in the first place. And that would be in regards to the main series that is canon. Now, we do have an interesting situation though if we turn to Disney Plus and look at the Marvel What If series, because as we know from the casting announcement a while back, we are seeing the full cast from the MCU reprise the roles for their respective characters in this show. I mean, some of the biggest named actors from the MCU are willing to return. We saw Chris Hemsworth announced to return as the voice actor for Thor, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. We even saw the likes of Haley Atwell returning for Peggy Carter for the animated show as well. But when they announced the cast, interestingly enough, they left Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans off the announcement list, kind of leading fans to speculate that they wouldn't be involved in the project moving forward. However, Jeff Goldblum actually leaked it by accident or indirectly that despite the fact that Robert Downey Jr. had kind of exited the MCU and left with his character, he would be reprising his role in the Disney Plus What If series. So, of course, since RDJ and Chris Evans were the only two actors not included on the list, and it just so happens that one of them was supposed to be on the list but was left off as a surprise, perhaps it is possible that Chris Evans will also return to voice the role of Captain America in this series, which would be really cool to see nonetheless. We know that one of the episodes will follow what would happen if Peggy Carter took the super serum instead of Steve Rogers, so there is an opportunity for Chris Evans to be right there. We know there's going to be some sort of crossover with an Iron Man-like character during World War II, which is a possibility as well, so there's definitely a lot of opportunities for Chris Evans to make a return in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least in that regard. When it comes to the actual casting in the main movie series, it's going to be limited, and there's probably going to have to be some convincing done on the Marvel side of things to give Chris Evans a reason to want to return to this character. Now, we have a ton of ideas of what they could do. It would be really cool to see a Captain America movie set maybe in the post-World War II era, maybe the Cold War era, and follow the same Steve Rogers we've been following, but maybe way down the line. and not anytime soon. However, that's just an interesting idea. It would be cool for one day Chris Evans to make a return, but we really don't know, and we're going to have to wait to see. But it is interesting to see the difference between what Chris Evans says and how he approaches the idea of returning versus an actor like Robert Downey Jr. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think Chris Evans will return sooner than later? Let us know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye, guys.
I'm about to.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.
Know anybody?